It was at this point in the recipe that I made a critical error. Today's going to be a little bit of a different video because I want to kind of share with you all why the last couple of weeks I haven't been able to post a video. It's not just that life is crazy and work is busy and all of that, but also when I've been filming, I oftentimes make up my recipes as I go, and lately they haven't all been turning out. The last couple of weeks I have filmed several videos and the recipes haven't turned out as I would like them to, or in any way that I would like to share with you all. So instead today I really want to share how you can transform a meal that maybe didn't turn out as well as you would like so that you can still enjoy it without throwing it out. When I make a meal, I need to be able to eat it at the end because that's what our budget allows, and I can't just be wasting food. So I want to show you ways that you can transform meals that maybe turned out a little bit differently than you would like, and how to make them still taste good or be enjoyable. Some of the different tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, and I hope that they can help you all if you are making a budget meal and it doesn't quite turn out as you would like. I started out this video with a good amount of delicious ingredients that are a great building block for recipes normally, and I was planning on making some roasted chicken packets, chicken and vegetable packets that you'd put in tin foil and stick in the oven. Everything was going according to plan, except for I added in too much salt. Now, if you add too much salt into something, then it can really make the whole thing kind of inedible. But you can salvage the whole recipe if you add in something else that could soak up the extra seasoning or the extra salt. Potatoes are a great way to do that. Rice is what I ended up using. I ended up cutting up the chicken into small pieces and adding in a bunch of rice and mixing it all together, and that helped to absorb all that extra salt. So if you add a little bit too much of salt or another seasoning, a lot of times adding in a neutral starch like potato or rice is going to really help that recipe be salvageable, because it will help to disperse the amount of seasoning in it and neutralize some of the excess seasoning. What if it's more of a texture thing? So I was making these flatbreads that were supposed to be nice and airy and fluffy, and they turned out a lot doughier and a lot thicker and even a little tough in the end, because the baking powder was a little old. The baking soda that I used in the next try of the recipe didn't quite work out either, so texturally just not what I was looking for. Instead, when you have something that's texturally a little off, you can put it into something that's a little more forgiving. A soup tends to be very texturally forgiving, so cutting up these hard little hockey pucks that I made and putting them into a soup helped to soften them and also made them a little more like dumplings. I put them into a potato soup and it turned out deliciously and softened up really nicely. It was a little bit like a potato gnocchi, except for without potato, but it turned out much better that way. So if you have something that's texturally a little bit off, depending on the texture, putting it into something like a soup can help to soften the thing or change the texture slightly so that it is more edible and tastes a lot better. Also, don't be afraid to experiment some with the thickness, thinness, or texture of something. I rolled these out and they turned out much better as tortillas than they ever did as flatbreads. So definitely feel free to experiment as you go along when you see that a recipe is just not turning out as you would like. Now, what if you make something and it tastes okay? It just doesn't taste great. It's not a wow meal. I think there's often this idea that all our meals need to be absolutely amazing. And that's just not the case. Sometimes you're going to make food and it's going to be okay, but it's just not going to be great. It's not going to be a meal you want to repeat, or it's just not going to be something that everybody loves. That's okay. Not every meal is going to be a repeat meal or something that you want to have over and over again. Food can taste delicious, but it doesn't always have to taste absolutely amazing in order to fill our bellies or in order for us to get nutrition from it. So if you make something and it's slightly off, but it's still palatable and you still are going to eat it because you have no money for other food, it is okay. It is still a win because you still have food and you are still able to eat it. Now, is it a huge plus if the food tastes delicious? And can you eat a delicious meal on a tight budget? Yes. But will every meal you make when you are on a tight budget be a win? No, it's hard to make meals that are absolutely, without a doubt, going to be foolproof. Sometimes you're going to have some things that you add into a recipe and it just doesn't turn out as you like, and that is okay. If a meal doesn't turn out deliciously, you eat it, you move on, you go to the next meal. So just don't get too wrapped up or too in your head about a meal if one doesn't turn out the way that you want it to be, because there's always another meal and there's always more food that you're going to be needing to make in the future. So you dust yourself off and you start again. And by the way, this chicken turned out amazing, so this will be in a recipe in the future. And while this meal might look delicious, that coleslaw did not turn out. I added vinegar and sour cream, which apparently are two ingredients that should not be mixed, and now I know. But either way, if a meal doesn't turn out exactly as you like, just eat it, be done with it, and move on to the next one. And give yourself a lot of grace, because when you're cooking on a tight budget, that can be a huge challenge for anybody, even a well-seasoned chef. I hope that this has been helpful for you all if you're struggling on a budget but also wanting to make delicious meals and try out new recipes. And when you're trying them out, sometimes recipes will be hit or misses, or you'll accidentally add something in that wasn't quite something that worked with the recipe. Thank you all for watching and for all the sweet comments, checking in on me and seeing where I'm at. I really appreciate it, and I hope that this has been helpful for you all, and I'll see you in the next one.